What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 274 of Opinions May Vary. I am not your host, JR, clearly. Some of you may remember me. My name is Vicky. You usually hear from me regarding cosplay, conventions, but today we have a little something different planned. Joining me in this adventure are two beautiful ladies. The first one you may recognize, Katie.
KT Baldessaro. I've been on Opinions May Vary a couple of times in the past to talk about Girl in the Basement and women in film.
We also have joining with us for the first time ever, Nichele. Welcome.
Hello.
Our super special subject of the day is Wonder Woman.
I just wanted to note that I've started our timer for when we're allowed to curse and when we're not allowed to curse. So we're still in the 5 minutes of let's keep it together, and then we're gonna go hog wild. I thought we would start with talking about the history of Wonder Woman as a comic book character. For those of you who are interested in what we're talking about and you would love to dive into this more, I'm just going to note right now, there's a fantastic book called The Secret History of Wonder Woman by Jill Lepore. You can read about it in a Smithsonian article, and a lot of the stuff that we'll be talking about right now comes from that book. The person who invented Wonder Woman, we didn't know that for a really long time until recently they were able to tell us that it was Dr. William Moulton Marsden. He was hired by Maxwell Charles Gaines, who is pretty much considered like the inventor of comic books as we know about it. Marsden wanted to include women in comic books in a much more kind of stronger role. He really felt that the difference between the sexes was not really their struggle for superiority, but like the way that we talked to each other. And I know that, Nichele, you were talking to me just before about the very interesting fact that Dr. Marsden had two wives. Well, he had one wife and then he had a girlfriend. He was married to Elizabeth Holloway, but he was also married to Olive Byrne, and Olive Byrne had a really interesting past. Do you want to talk about that?
Sure. Olive Byrne was the cohabitant, as they called her. Cohabitant, so she wasn't exactly married to him, but she shared a relationship with Mr. Moulton and his wife. She also was part of the inspiration for Wonder Woman.
Yeah. She was also the niece of Margaret Sanger. For those of you who don't know who Margaret Sanger was, she was a very prominent woman in the United States who wrote a lot of pamphlets kind of telling women about birth control and their options for birth control, because she really believed that one of the ways that women were being enslaved in the United States was through forced childbirth, because there was no option to avoid it. So he was kind of secretly putting in these women's rights messages into these comic books, but he didn't want anyone to know where they were coming from. I really think an interesting point about his relationship with Olive Byrne was, since she couldn't wear a wedding ring, she actually wore two bracelets, and they really believe that a lot of his inspiration for Wonder Woman came from her.
See, all of this is so amazing. I am totally unprepared, and you guys are winning right now. But I haven't learned any of this. I am more current with my Wonder Woman knowledge. Obviously, the movie, which is kind of what brings us here today. And I have read the New 52 comics, and I have so much love for that and this character and what she means. So it's so... I can't even express everything right now. Amazing to learn what you're talking about here. There's so many different... God, I'm terrible with words.
It's no worries.
Emotions.
Yes, there's so much with this character. Feels.
I love the feels.
And that's also with the character, and that she's love centric. Like that's where her soul comes from, is her emotions, and she's not afraid to be compassionate and a badass at the same time. So. Yeah. Kind of the fact that the history behind the person who even came up with these things, it's so emotional. It's like that he experienced these things and he put these experiences into the persona of the character that he wanted to make.
Yeah, and he was really living an alternate lifestyle at a time when that really wasn't accepted. He was also a psychiatrist, and he wrote a lot of papers about how tolerance can really lead to happiness. And so he was really trying to put a message out there, especially because at this point in time, part of the reason he was hired by Gaines was that a lot of people felt that comic books were like just for, crazy people and, kids who didn't have anything worth saying, and it was really derogatory, and so they wanted to include some stuff of substance. And what I think is really interesting, and I want to toss this to you guys and get your opinion, is a lot of the early Wonder Woman includes bondage, includes her being pretty much chained up, roped up, in some sort of way. And they got a lot of feedback. They got a couple of letters from people who had said that, they really love the fact that Wonder Woman is tied up in a lot of these comic books, and they love her high-heeled boots, and do they have any of these things in real life that they could buy off of them? And they were really concerned because they didn't want it to seem like Wonder Woman just existed as a sex symbol, but there was her costume and there was all of this bondage. I know what Moulton said in response was that suffragettes used a lot of breaking chain imagery, and that was what he was going for. But at the same time, do you feel like that is a worthwhile message, or do you feel like it gets lost in the sexualization? Because there's been so much controversy over the costume for Wonder Woman. I know that Joss Whedon put her in pants and a shirt, and people felt like, oh, that was kind of prude.
Yeah, well, I actually love the pants version of her, the cover art there. I'm actually working on a cosplay version of that, just because I liked the sort of the contrast to how she's always been. But it's kind of true that she comes from a land of women. Mm-hmm. They don't sexualize what they're wearing. It's not a bathing suit. It's not that you're showing skin. She's wearing her armor. It's protecting the areas that needs to protect, and that's it.
Although it doesn't protect her upper torso. She does not have any of the torso armor that the rest of the people in those scenes do have. But it's kind of like, I don't know if it's hair worth splitting.
Yeah, well, I mean, they're also superhuman strength and the Amazons.
And they're Amazons, and exactly.
They're on a warm island. They, I don't see it as over-sexualizing. I don't see it that way. I never saw it that way. That's not how I looked at it, at all with that. I think people are just splitting hairs over things that aren't necessary and nitpicking.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Where it's not necessary for that.
Cool. One last thing before we kind of go more into the film and leave the history of the original comic behind. I thought this was so freaking interesting when I found this out. In the original comic book series, Wonder Woman is allowed to return to the island, the Paradise Island. But Dorothy Rubicek, who was the first woman editor at DC, you'll know her. She was actually the person who invented kryptonite. She really felt that superheroes needed to be more dynamic and needed to have vulnerabilities. So she was like, we're going to make this thing so that Superman has something to fear. They hired her to talk to Marston about Wonder Woman and the over-sexualization and what could be done, and she came up with the idea that Wonder Woman had to give up the ability to return back to the island in order to come to Earth and help man. Part of that was because it made her weaker and it gave her vulnerability and she had to sacrifice. But the other part of that was apparently because most of the kinky, sexy bondage stuff happened on Paradise Island. So she was just like, what if we can't go back there?
Like the conversation on the boat.
Yeah.
That conversation.
Yeah,
Men for pleasure? What?
When we were watching when we left the movie, my husband said to me, like, I just don't know about that scene where clearly Wonder Woman has sex with Peter for the first time. It didn't really seem like, someone who was losing their virginity. And I was like, oh, sweetheart, you thought she lost her virginity right there? Like, she's been on an island of women. That doesn't mean that she hasn't had the ability to have sex.
Which is that's the conversation in the boat.
Exactly.
Is the whole, men. Well, we don't need men.
Exactly.
Well, you don't need men? What do you mean you don't need men?
That completely went over his head. He was like, oh, yeah.
So that movie.
Amazing.
Oh my God, that movie.
Amazing.
Alex messaged me last week saying like, "Oh, hey, you've seen the Wonder Woman movie, right?" I was like, "Well, yeah, of course."
Yeah.
I didn't get to see it opening night, which is what I wanted to do.
I got to see it. I got to see it on the Saturday, so I didn't get to see it on opening night either.
I guess we all suck.
That's okay.
Yeah, so
Life.
I went to see it Sunday night, and it was one of those like jaw dropping, hit the floor. They nailed it. They nailed it. As a movie, as a superhero movie, as a superhero movie with a female lead, as a movie with a female lead, keeping men and women interested. They fucking nailed it.
Mm-hmm. Undoubtedly.
Yeah.
I think it's important to say that this is a good superhero movie. It's not just a good female superhero movie, which makes it sound like, it's affirmative action. And it's really important because if this movie wasn't good, they wouldn't fund other female superhero movies. There was so much riding on this. And I think this also happens to African American films where this happened to Roots. The Roots was set to air 5 episodes over 5 weeks, but the person in charge didn't think it would do very well and didn't want to support African American in films, was that television series. So they put it to air all in 1 week back to back, figuring that would tank the whole thing, and they wound up inventing the modern miniseries. I think that this is the same sort of situation. They were hoping that this wouldn't do so well.
I mean, look at how much they advertised for it.
Yeah.
There was like barely any.
Everywhere.
Yeah. Patty Jenkins had been pulled off of Thor 2.
What are you saying?
Facebook. It blew up all over Facebook. You get
that people weren't.
Oh yeah,
that it wasn't advertised.
Advertised.
I was like, what do you mean it was everywhere? It wasn't.
Yeah.
That was the point.
It was on Facebook.
The paid advertisement was kind of low. They didn't want to put too much money into it,
which is heartbreaking because again, it was such a great movie.
Yeah,
but it goes to show you, when you look at other superhero movies, how many times have we seen promotions for Spider-Man, for Batman versus Superman? It just goes to show you that this is something new. They weren't sure how people were going to react to it. Obviously, people reacted to it fantastically. Mm-hmm. And I think it was the power of Facebook. Facebook, I mean, I saw the majority of that promotion and how it was promoted through Facebook. Because one person would say this, another person would say this, and then it would just snowball. It was a snowball effect.
Yeah.
The way social media does.
Yeah, social media has a huge playing on that.
And that's also, I mean, Facebook is where I've gotten a lot of sort of my reviews from for all sorts of movies where even if I don't see it on opening night where you're like, I can't look at my phone for 3 days because I can't go to the movies until Monday. Like I kind of did that, but the few people who I was seeing responses from, it was like, they nailed it. Oh my God, this was great. Gal Gadot, like everybody had something positive to say. I think I had one friend who was like, meh, it wasn't worth the hype, but it was still a good movie. Like that was the most negative comment that I got, was that they didn't think it was worth the hype.
And that could have just been people around them were too hypey.
Possibly.
Yeah.
Because I've definitely done that where you get your hopes up so high. Oh my God, it's going to be so good. People are telling you how fantastic it was. And then you see it because you're thinking it's up here. Oh my God.
And it's not, it's down here.
It came in here. It was a good movie. And their expectations were higher or, and then they set you too high. And now you're just sort of, you fall flat because you were expecting to have the reaction they had. Yeah. But you're also not the same person.
I mean, if you like the movie Blair Witch, I think if I had just found that movie, I would have been like, whoa! But everybody and their mother telling me to see it, I wound up throwing up in the movie theater, and that wasn't worth it. I'm not a shaky cam person.
No, I don't like those.
But I think part of the reason they did not put advertising money into this particular film is that they already were worried with Patty Jenkins as a female director. They had tried to put her in charge of Thor 2. And there's a turn of phrase for these films for studios. They're called tentpole, which means that they support the entire studio for the year. They're expected to pull in enough money through advertising and sales of toys and stuff at the theater that they can support the studio to do riskier films. So these films have to be solid. And any kind of risk on that, and especially because of the bros who are supporting these superhero movies, they were really worried, shit, if we take a risk on our tentpole, we could sink our entire lineup. So they're kind of compromised because they took her off and then they put on Alan Taylor and it didn't fucking work at all. And now they've got Ragnarok. They've got Takai Waititi, who is the Maori director who did Who We Are in the Shadows, which is phenomenally funny. If you have not seen that movie, get on top of it. It's fantastic. It's the Flight of the Conchords people. Takai is involved in writing Flight of the Conchords, but don't get to see him that often. It has Jermaine. Anyway, that's a long tangent. So now they're bringing Patty back to let her direct this Wonder Woman, but they're like, look, we don't want to put in too much money. We don't want to risk it until we know we're going to get some sort of result on the back end. And I think she did a wonderful job, but she had to fight like crazy. Like we were talking about how she had to fight for the No Man's Land scene.
Which was my favorite scene.
It was a great, just watching her take that robe off and boom, there she goes.
Yeah, and that's the costume reveal for the first time.
And everybody is just freaked out to go, and she's like, I'm going. I don't care. I'm going.
Oh, yeah, and she has already learned, because at this point in the film, she believes she's just an Amazon. She watched her sisters die. She watched her family die around her when the war came to Paradise Island, and so she could die. She's walking straight into what killed her aunt. Bullets.
Yeah.
But she just walks in fearlessly with people telling her, no, don't go. And she just, no, I'm going. And she walks right into it.
She had a bigger pair of balls than those guys.
All of them.
All of them did.
Well, yeah, she knew she needed to get what she needed to do. She had to get across this land, so there was no question about attempting it. You know, I'm fucking going to do this.
I don't care what you say. I'm going.
Yeah.
And that and the level of despair that was around her, like, I guess she's a very love-centered character. She has those maternal instincts. She's not afraid to be feminine and
or emotional.
And the people around her are dying and they're starving and they're treating animals poorly, and that's not how she was raised. That's not how she believes life should be. So she wants to help these people get to that point of life where they should be. They should, she needs to help them get away from this war. And the only way to do that is to go for Ares, and Ares is on the other side of this line, so I'm going to cross this line.
Yeah.
And do what I got to do.
Yeah, and that literally the soundtrack to this entire film rips me apart. I love it. I love when a film has a great score and every little musical note gives you goosebumps, and you just and the scene where she's walking across No Man's Land and what is now being called her theme music, which is actually called, I think, The Front Lines.
Yes.
That's the name of the song. It's my ringtone right now. I love it. I'm obsessed.
It's a great song.
Oh my
God.
Great. It really. I got a call from my best friend earlier, and I was just like, "Oh my God!" She pocket dialed me, but it was fantastic because I got to listen to the ringtone.
You're like, just keep going.
Yeah,
just keep
no,
going.
it's
okay.
She called me back, so it was great. I get to hear it again.
So yeah, you can hear right now how much you are interpreting your experience of Wonder Woman as a character from that one scene, which executives wanted to cut out because they felt like they didn't understand it. They were like, what does this serve to the story as a whole? She's not fighting the bad guy Ares right now. She's not fighting an individual bad guy. Superheroes fight bad guys. Why is this scene here? And Patty Jenkins had to storyboard it herself to get higher ups to agree that this was okay to put in, and it
just shows a strong female character, lead character, and I think that right there cemented that her character as Wonder Woman. That scene right there was like, boom, here she is. She's here to stay. This is what she's badass.
Yeah.
And I think, like we talked about, I think it just goes to show you that it's gives women that it's okay. You can just be like, you know what? Screw you. I'm going to go do this.
Which, speaking of, there was a series of tweets that I found afterwards that just spoke to me. That literally the next morning it was like 6 a.m. I'm sitting on my deck waiting for my dogs to come back in. And I was scrolling through Facebook and I found this like list of the most amazing tweets. And I'm not going to go through them all, but my favorite one was, no wonder white men are so obscenely confident all the time. I saw one woman hero movie and I'm ready to fight 1,000 dudes barehanded.
Absolutely.
And I was the exact same way.
Yeah.
I wanted everything. I wanted to be an Amazon. I still want to be an Amazon. And I'm actually in the process of planning out a cosplay for next year as an Amazon.
Woo. Nice. Yeah.
It's, I don't know. I was emotional through the entire movie. I know certain parts were, oh my God, what's going on? Or, holy crap, nope, waterworks aren't going to start happening. Or, I mean, it was up and down, but it was a good up and down through the entire movie. Your emotions were all over the place, but it was a good emotional roller coaster.
Yeah, like with the No Man's Land scene where it's something as simple as her stepping out of the trenches that you're like, that's the war scene, that's the fighting. It's just her walking out into the middle of a battlefield, really. But it's so impactful the way, and I feel like we should credit Patty Jenkins for a lot of it. The way it was directed, the
cinematography in that is amazing.
It gave you this feeling of just, whoa.
It has a very watercolor feeling, a very comic book feeling. It almost scrolls from left to right. Some of the bodies in the midst of the like smoke almost feel drawn. It was really good.
And then on to like the sexy scene.
Oh, yes.
Which you didn't see any nudity. There was no, let me drop my robe and you see my back or you see my butt or you see a side
the crack
boob.
of my whatever.
Yeah. It was very, but you know what happened in that scene. Like you know.
But you didn't have to see it. You didn't have to
know
that they were having a moment.
Sex. When he looks at her in those eyes, oh my God, Chris Pine was such a good. He balanced out Gal Gadot so well, and they
balance each other. I think they balance each other out through the entire movie. All the characters balance each other out. Where you have the one drunken friend who all of a sudden busts out playing the piano and singing and.
Oh yeah, he has that soft side. He has that emotional side.
I think all the characters played well off of each other, but those two, man, that was.
I also really loved. This is obviously a woman. A main character is a woman, and it's about a female character, and there is a lot of like feminism in this movie, a lot of strength to this movie. But he wasn't weak. They didn't make him weak to make her look strong.
Exactly.
He was an equal to her. He flies off into the sky to save everyone. Like, he has his own story arc within hers. Like, it's not... I love that they didn't wash him out or make him look...
They didn't do it to her either, which was good.
Yes. Again, they balanced each other
they balanced
nicely.
it out, and you didn't... Because you see that in a lot of movies. If you have a relationship, no matter... You know, if you have a loving relationship...
Someone's
you see
dominant.
Exactly. And you see some of the characters just fizzle out, or that character's not as important, and you lose interest in it.
Yeah, absolutely.
You lose a lot of interest.
I'm sorry. I'm like thinking about, again, the scenes, the sexy scene.
Yeah, actually, thinking about the sexy scene and how much they didn't show, I'm thinking about times in which we did see much of anything. I think the only thing I could think of is when she she jumps and she lands, and you get that close up on her thigh.
Oh, the superhero landing.
Yeah,
the superhero landing.
and they let her thigh jiggle.
Oh yeah,
that's great.
They didn't edit that.
We all jiggle.
Although there was the whole to do with the poster where you could see under her arm, and they were like, her underarm is a different color. You have to fix it, and they like Photoshop fixed it, and then people were like, wait a minute, is the whole thing Photoshopped? So I really feel like there's almost a no safe zone for Wonder Woman, and like her costume and her body is so up for everyone to be upset about something. Like, ugh.
But there's nothing to be upset about it at all. There's nothing to be upset about. I mean, granted, yes, she's much taller than the rest of us.
She's an Amazon.
Whatever. But her thighs jiggle. Things all of us women worry about. She's not perfect, you know, and you see that through the movie. She's not a perfect person.
Especially because she's coming from a different world.
Exactly.
Where
and she has her flaws. And she has her flaws.
Yeah. Which
was fantastic to see and hear. And I think that brought a lot of forefront that it's okay to be, you know, not flawless, to be flawed a little bit, to be okay with who you are. And I think that helped a lot in that movie too, showing women and younger girls too.
Oh, okay. I want to touch on that in a minute, but getting back to the casting, I did not know Robin Wright was in this film until the next morning, and I was going through all those tweets, and someone had commented about seeing their childhood princesses become generals, and it was a picture of
Carrie Fisher.
yes, Carrie Fisher and Robin Wright in their characters, and I was just like, oh my god,
It was Princess Buttercup.
yes, and I love the contrast between General Antipe.
Yes.
Haha. Okay.
Ah.
Sorry, I'm very bad with Greek.
I think it's Antiope, like antelope.
Antiope. Did we say Antiope? Did we figure
It
that
is
out?
Antiope. I think I said it wrong.
Antiope.
It's Antiope. Right.
That's how the thing on the
Yes.
website said it when we checked it earlier.
I loved the contrast between her and Princess Buttercup.
Yeah.
Because Buttercup, as much as I love The Princess Bride, and all the details of that movie that I could gush over for hours, one of the things I don't like is how frail she is, how she can't fight off the ROUSs, and she's screaming for Wesley the entire time. But in this, Robin Wright kicked ass. Like, so much kicked ass. I can't even... I told you to put those away.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Every moment of Themyscira and the way that they were interacting with each other, and the fact that she takes little Diana under her wing and secretly teaches her how to fight
Without mom knowing.
Yes.
Everything about the character, it just...
She was badass in that. Mind
And-
you, she plays a badass character in House of
House of
Cards.
Cards,
too.
yes.
Oh, that's true.
So
Somebody else had commented, I think it was Alex commented on Facebook, that everybody who's gushing over this must have not seen House of Cards. And I'm like, yeah, I haven't seen House of Cards. So I'm gushing.
Yeah.
I felt the same way about Connie Nelson, who plays Hippolyta. That's I recognize her as one of the agents from Law and Order SVU.
yes.
Who's always like,
Yes.
I take stuff seriously and I'm not going to play by the rules.
You know, I just realized that after you said that, I just realized because I'm rewatching certain episodes of Law and Order, and as you're saying that, I'm like, wait, that was her.
that
light bulb.
was they spooshed together. And we were talking earlier about her and her decision to not tell Diana as she's leaving. Okay, this is a good point for us to stop and be like, spoilers, we're going to talk about stuff that happens in the movie.
Oh, yeah, you know, like
Yes.
27 minutes in.
Well, yeah.
27
we
minutes
can
in?
curse now, though, so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fuck. Just once.
I think
Why she
Victoria
lets-
already went there.
I did. I can't go there again. I remember being told multiple times over the years. Everybody gets one.
Just like Spider-Man. So she lets Diana go.
I think that's what happened.
And she's like, you know, her friend says, "Are you going to tell her?" And Diana and Hippolyta, instead of telling her daughter, like, "Hey, here's an important thing you should know about yourself that'll come into play as you go into the world and like keep
Spoiler.
you from dying," she Jewish moms her and is like, "You are my greatest love, but today you are my greatest sorrow." And I'm like, say something nice. She's leaving, you know.
Nope.
Nope. Nope.
She Jewish mommed her.
Yep. And then she's like, "No, it'll help Ares find her," which he does immediately. And major spoiler, I love that David Thewlis gets to be Ares, because that's another, like, this kind of round old British guy who
And he
gets
always
to
played,
be
like Lupin was such a warm,
good
soft character. I mean, the
character.
werewolves, I don't know, not so much, but he is so loving and caring and sweet.
You don't
But no.
expect that.
But no.
He gets to be this
But
big,
wait.
huge, strong rah in this. He's a little shit in Fargo too, so I'm kind of used to him being bad. But like he gets to like have his shirt off and be a god for once. So that's kind of fun for him.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that.
Again, the casting, everything about this movie was so
Yeah.
good.
They from beginning to end to just
It wowed. It really did. It was.
I kept grabbing my
Wonderful.
husband's arm every 5 minutes, like, "Did you see that? Did you see that?" And he's just like, "Really?" And I'm like, "No, did you? Oh my god, Oh my God.
You were saying you really grabbed him during the ice cream scene?
I did, because that was just, again, I'm a New 52 fan.
Yes.
I love him.
I was sitting next to my best friend, who is more of a classic Wonder Woman fan, and I just started slapping her arm over and over again. And she was like, "What? I don't know what's going on." And I was like, "That's a comic book. I think. I don't know." There was a lot of squeeing for me in this whole film. And again, seeing the movie with my best friend and our significant others, we had to, of course, sit together, in the middle, and they had to sit away from each other, which I'm sure broke their hearts. But
I'm sure they were fine with it.
We just kept slapping each other the entire time. Every time we got excited about something, we were having those moments, because this movie did such a good job of bringing these things that we as women don't get to see very often, and having that, and it wasn't a rom-com or like something girly. It's a superhero movie about a character who is so important.
Yeah. I mean, you've got, it's just like, you can't say enough about it. You can't.
I'm sorry. I feel like I keep bringing us back to we're like, I loved it.
But you're right, though.
That's a valid thing to say. I mean, there was the phenomenon that they're writing about where women are crying during this movie. And it's not because, like, oh, I'm sad, but, like, they're completely overwhelmed by the fact that this is the first live-action film where it features a female superhero as the main character. And you're seeing this woman, she's kicking ass, and you know that you're watching something historic. You know that, like, probably in 10 or 15 years, this film will be clunky and outdated and have,
but we're still going to want to watch it.
You know, tones of misogyny that are no longer apparent in film. Fingers crossed we get better soon. But, like, right now, this is more than we've ever been given, and so we're crying because we can't believe we finally did it. We finally get it. 75 years after the first comic comes out, we get a movie. How many goddamn Batman movies have there been? Just think about that.
Bad Batman movies. How many
Spider-Man movies?
How many Spider-Man movies?
I hate the Spider-Man movies.
I mean, they've got to give us something.
Well, I like the Andrew Garfield ones.
Yes,
that's true.
Those
The first three ones are pretty bad.
But like you said, you've got Wonder Woman as the first superhero. You have villains. You've got Catwoman. You've got Poison Ivy. You've got Harley Quinn, which Harley Quinn, in my opinion, love the character, but sometimes is way too over-sexualized when it comes to certain things. Mm-hmm. I don't think she can be a great role model for people, whereas you got Wonder Woman who's like,
the only time that you see Harley as a great role model is like 10% of the time in the weird, random pages of an issue of something where you find out that she had a kid, and like that scene, that one I love, where you are like, wow, she realizes she's in this messed up relationship and that she couldn't let her child be near this person. Like, she has those moments, but
not enough.
But it's not enough. You don't, and she's not a main character. She doesn't get broadcast the way Superman or Batman or Captain America.
Only reason for being there is because she is the Joker's girlfriend.
Yeah,
that's all she's ever been known as.
That's kind of like.
Although, did you know that she came from the animated series?
No.
The Batman series. That's where she started.
Yeah,
was there.
So she wasn't a comic book character. She was actually technically a cartoon character first.
Yeah. So she what?
In fact.
Yeah, because that wasn't what.
I don't know, 90s,
late 90s, probably.
No one was alive back then.
Yeah,
I don't even know what year
it's
it is
like
right now.
But again, it's when you said comparing your princesses, Carrie Fisher, Princess Buttercup. It again, Carrie Fisher, amazing character she played, and that gave a lot of women purpose and gave a lot of women,
and girls.
The
things I am so excited about the amount of like overwhelming things I've heard about kids already having a reaction, or the scenes. That was the first thing when I was watching the movie. I was already reviewing it to myself, and I was watching the scenes where young Diana, she runs down to the beach and she's standing up on the edge and she's pretending to fight to be like everyone else, and she wants to be a part of it. Like, she wants to be this badass.
Yep.
And kids are doing that, and all I could think about was, this is going, like, these young kids, I can't wait to go to a convention and see little girls dressed up like young Diana, because they want to be like young Diana. They want to be like Wonder Woman.
And it's not a gender bend. It just is the character. She gets to just dress up like her favorite thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of teachable moments that I'm hearing people talk about, like particularly the scene where Wonder Woman is barred from the meeting because it's all men. And so people are talking to their kids because little boys are coming out of that, and they're saying, like, I don't get it. Why would you do that? And they're like, well, some people think that women shouldn't be allowed to make decisions. Don't you think that that is bad? If that happened to a woman when you were there, wouldn't you fight for her? Wouldn't you consider that bullying? And the kids are like, yeah, I wouldn't want that to happen to me. And so, like, yeah, this movie isn't just for little girls who are like, this is me and I want to be awesome. It's also for little boys to notice the differences and say, like, yeah, I don't want to treat women like that.
There was another tweet I read about someone saw a little boy coming out of a comic book store holding an issue of Wonder Woman and wearing a tiara.
Yeah.
And they were like,
Awesome.
yeah, that little boy, like, yeah, you can love Wonder Woman. That's totally cool.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. If little girls can love Batman, little boys can love Wonder Woman. It has to go both ways.
Yeah.
That's what I love about kids is kids show no fear. Kids don't care.
Yeah.
Male, female, don't care. And it's nice to see that.
Yeah, until they learn from society, they don't know.
Yeah, and that's with movies like this having this kind of impact on adults and children. That's the future. That's where we're going to go. We're going to have children learning, no, I need to go stand up for her, or I need to stand up for myself, and don't treat someone like that because that's not the way things should be. What you said earlier, acceptance, no.
Tolerance leads to happiness.
Yes.
Yeah, that was Marston's like major. He wrote, I think it's an article, 5 prejudices or 6 prejudices affecting your happiness, and one of them was just general lack of tolerance.
I think that's what everybody needs now.
Yeah.
It's just not a tolerance thing. It's more of accepting people for, who they are, what they are. It shouldn't matter.
Especially like, okay, we've got 3 women here talking about comic books. And I think we can definitely talk about, like, acceptance. Just letting other people be. And just because somebody else likes something or doesn't like something, it doesn't affect you and your like or dislike of that thing. Like, you can be your own person and own it. You do not have to validate or invalidate other people's ability to like or not like something. Within the geek community, we tear each other down. Like, they're suing the theater in Texas that did the all-women premiere of this movie.
Did you know that it is a lawyer in New York who is suing
Are
a
you
theater
kidding
in
me?
Texas?
Are you kidding me?
What kills me the most about that is I had a very hard discussion with my sister about this because I don't agree with what the theater did. Mm-hmm. Because I believe feminism is about us being equals. If that means women and men have the same prison sentences, then we have the same prison sentence. If it means we have the same standard to get into the military, then we need the same standard. Because essentially you're applying for a job, regardless of if you're a man or woman, you should be able to lift X amount of pounds or whatever for the military. And then in that case where it's a little simpler of, we're only letting women in, kind of having a girls' night thing, but you're excluding people. Like, that's you're saying you're a man and you can't come in. That's not truly what feminism is. And I don't really know if that's what the theater was going for.
Yeah, I mean, you could argue that private institutions for women only do the same exact thing.
Yeah, it's...
And then it gets into that gray area of, did the theater let in transgendered women?
There was actually, I believe, like a second thing that they released saying if someone identifies as a woman, then they are included in this women's showing. I do remember reading
But again, like she said, it's like it's a gray area. Should it be happening? I honestly, I agree with you 100% on that. If you're going to include everybody, if this is an all-inclusion thing, it should be an all-inclusion thing. Male, female, whatever.
What I found really comical about it, though, even though those are my feelings on it, it was very interesting to see how many people cried and screamed about it, about something like, it's only one showing.
Yeah,
there's plenty of other showings.
And there's other
that
theaters,
you could go to.
and yep.
So you're not exactly being told you can't do this. You just can't go to that one.
But again, we live in a society now, and I'm sure you can agree with me, where every little thing somebody's got a nitpick at. And it doesn't matter what it is or how, they turn it into this huge issue.
Yeah, okay, so perfect example. Reading this morning, Skittles wants to support Pride Month. They're a rainbow-colored product.
And they're turning white.
They took all of the color out of their product, and they're producing just white Skittles, saying this month it's about only one rainbow. And they're giving their proceeds to LGBT groups, but the internet is like, no, they're trying to say white pride. And Skittles is like, God damn it.
What?
Oh, yeah. Again, prime example. Take the internet, and then we bubble it up, and then we do all this, and boom, there it goes.
And that's...
And it's crazy. It's ridiculous. There shouldn't be anything about it. Who cares? Who cares? Let it happen. Who cares?
So going back to the showing thing, the New York lawyer who is suing the
Texas theater
for, it's something he would literally never even have the ability to go. Like, did you happen to be visiting Texas that weekend? Like,
because apparently you need to be supporting somebody, and it's crazy. That is absolutely ridiculous.
We are an incredibly litigious society. We have people who buy vague patent trolls to sue people under the basis that if they sue, this is a plot point in the recent Silicon Valley. They'll sue people for a very low rate, and they'll figure those people will just settle because it costs less to settle than to go to trial. If they get enough people to settle on this vague patent, they can then have a legitimate case against a larger corporation. We just love to sue in this country. People get patents just to sue, not to create.
Yeah.
And that's unfortunate because it did take away from the movie a little bit. I mean, not a huge part of it, but it took away from...
The theater actually got, even with all the negativity around the publicity they were getting, and let's be honest, it was still publicity.
It's true.
They sold out their woman-only showing, and they had to do a second showing.
Yeah, easily.
Again, whatever, it breeds different things. The social media has this way of either turning something into, yay, to completely like, oh my God. Was that just said? And I'm on the mic.
Yeah.
Eat the mic.
Eat the
Michelle.
mic.
That is not what JR said.
No, that is not what JR said.
He said something else. Yeah, considering the
Suck the mic.
No need to phrase there. No need to say phrasing. Considering the controversy surrounding the Lady Ghostbusters, do you feel like that was a bigger deal than this? I mean, I feel like that film just wasn't quite as good a film as this movie, to be honest.
No, I don't think it was that good.
It was just not well written.
I have to be honest, I haven't seen it.
It was terrible.
I think that's a testament to the quality of the film, that it's been out for a while and you haven't even seen it. I have friends, I'm in it. I'm in the background of it, and I still waited till it came out to VHS to see it.
I think that turned into a big fiasco.
I still say VHS. I also say I will make a ditto instead of a copy.
That's okay.
It's funny. I said VHS player the other day, and I got reamed because I didn't say VCR, and I was like, "I'm sorry. I've been in the. I've had Blu-rays now. Like where's so many steps
laser disc.
Listen, you tell exactly. You tell somebody a laser disc, they look at you cross-eyed because they have no idea what you're talking about.
How are you going to see high definition videos in science class without your laser disc
or your floppy disk?
Oh,
your floppy disk.
I actually saw a meme the other day. It was wicked funny. It was someone wrote on a floppy disk that said, "Why is this Post-it so hard?" And there was a pin through it on a wall.
Oh my God! I teach little kids, and I have them ask me stuff sometimes, like, why is the picture for save that weird picture? And I'm like, oh, it's a floppy disk. Don't you know what that is? And they're like, no.
Yeah, no idea. No clue.
Or like, why do you hang up a phone?
Yep.
Because they don't
or a dial
do this
tone.
gesture.
Or you roll down a window.
Yep.
That's
or the
thing we don't do
dial,
anymore.
the dial on a phone. Oh. Remember the rotary phones?
Yeah, I actually had a rotary phone.
I had a rotary phone for a long time
10.
with the cord.
Yeah.
You get wrapped around.
Oh yes. Oh, I don't want to digress too much, but I did want to go back to the Ghostbusters thing and ask you this. So even though, because this is part why I'm so glad Wonder Woman is a good film, because I was a little bit worried about it not being a good film, because regardless of what kind of movie it was, being in film and being, supportive of women's rights and always being that particular voice, I was going to have to answer for this film. And I feel like all women have to answer for this film to their male friends. And I remember when Ghostbusters came out, and I was like, look, I love Ghostbusters, but this isn't really my battle here. And yet I still had to listen to men explain to me, like, this movie was a crappy movie and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, I kind of agree with you.
Mansplain. Because, like, that... I haven't even seen it. But I heard bad things.
But because you're a female, it's like you have to, like... It's a certain thing where you have to protect being a female, even if you haven't done it, haven't seen it.
Yeah.
Just because you are a female, it seems like certain things you have to explain to people and like defend it for no reason.
Yeah, and if you don't, then you're not really, I guess you're not really geek.
I'm also upset that you guys will have to clarify for me, but I heard that they basically rehashed the original storyline.
Yes.
Yeah.
That upsets me even more because it kind of sets it up for men did it better approach.
And that was a big thing too, because they started doing that. The original version. There we go. The original version of Ghostbusters, the first Ghostbusters. I watched it. We all watched it.
I love it.
Yeah,
great.
Movie.
Loved it.
Scared.
That was the whole thing. Was, well, why are they doing it again?
Why are they doing everything again?
They do everything again.
Exactly. That drives me crazy.
And whenever they repeat a movie, it's not a sequel, it's a repeat.
You are just redoing the movie.
Like the Superman with Brandon Routh.
Oh, yeah.
I enjoyed it. I actually really liked him as Superman, but it was
a reboot.
Rehash, except instead of a helicopter, it's a plane. And and I liked it. I enjoyed it. I paid money to own a copy of it. Was it a fantastic jaw-dropping movie? No, it was a repeat because you just used the same plot over again.
Yep.
My friend Randy has a really good alternative word for mansplaining that I'd like to throw out there. It's called correctile dysfunction. I just want that to get into the internet.
Correctile dysfunction. I'm gonna have to use that.
Definitely.
I think, thankfully, I don't run into moments where like that's happening too often. Well, no, because I work in a home improvement store. That happens a lot.
Oh
actually.
my God!
It hasn't in a while because I'm not on the floor with people anymore. I did run into a total you're clearly not a real nerd moment with a coworker somewhat recently. What was it? He had made a comment and then I responded, and it was about Infinity Wars and the everything, the Infinity Stones and the Gauntlet and all of the heroes involved. And he had I don't even remember what it was. He made a comment and I was like, oh yeah, I love superhero movies or something like that. And he was just like, oh no, I made a comment about the Infinity Gauntlet, and he said, oh, I bet you Googled that. That's what it was. I bet you Googled that.
I love that. When we were a couple years ago, my husband and I were at a convention. I get excited about D20 dice.
I do. Oh my God. I get excited about all kinds of dice.
I get excited about D20 dice. I get excited about colors. I get excited about different designs. I get excited about them.
Playing D&D, and I love
fantastic.
I got my tattoo, guys.
So nice.
Oh my God.
So
Brett Kelly.
I get excited about D20 dice, and I walk over, and there's this big bin of D20 dice, all different colors, and I'm like, oh, this is great. And literally, these two guys walk over, and they're like, she has no idea what she's doing. She has no idea. She just likes the colors. And I looked over at him, and I'm just like, really? Really? Is that necessary right now? And it seems like it's a huge issue being a female and going to conventions sometimes. I know I've run into it. I'm sure you've run into it, Victoria, and I'm sure KT, you've run into it. It's you're a girl, you have no idea what you're doing. You're a girl.
Yeah.
I get asked if I'm just here as a booth babe.
Oh my God.
They ask me what booth are you with?
Not in a booth.
I am here for the convention.
Thank
Something
you very much.
I don't like. I love cosplay. Cosplay is like where I
Love it.
Oh my God, it brought me so much into the world of the nerd culture things and everything. And it just,
You don't have to be yourself when you do it. Yeah.
I love it. And I actually I shy away from doing characters I don't know. And anytime I do a character I don't know, I make sure to take the time to like research the character, play that game that one time, or watch the show, movie, read the comics, something. Like I need to immerse myself in this character because it's more than just dressing up as the character to me. And it's so upsetting when you run into someone who just happens to know more about that character than you. I have a very serious love for Samus Aran, and I have 3 different cosplays of her, and I have run into people where I didn't play the original Metroid game, so I am obviously not a real fan.
Are you kidding me?
I'm
Yeah.
making
That's
that
insane.
jerk off gesture.
Yeah, that is absolutely insane. That is crazy.
Oh well, I wanted to ask some male cosplayers this question because I do wonder if they get so heavily quizzed when they dress up as a character, because I have a tattoo. I have a 25-inch long tattoo on my right leg that is the same tattoo as Miss Medusa from Wormwood, which is a comic book by Ben Templesmith. It is a very obscure and weird comic book. If anybody ever knows what it is, instead of us sharing the fact that we have both read this weird fucking comic book that's awesome, I get quizzed. And it's just like,
That's crazy.
what is this? Is this just so that they can, I feel like, so that when they win, they feel validated that they own it? And that's what I'm talking about with this, like, why can't we both just like something?
Yeah, get into the details of that comic, of that character, of what brought you to read the first page, or, you know, the inspiration behind why you got the tattoo, or the way you got, like,
Or even
you
just
can't
being
just
like,
share that.
That's
We
the
like
whole
this
thing.
together.
That's the whole thing. Is it's and coming back to the Wonder Woman thing. Having grown up with Wonder Woman in my life, having, you know, been obsessed, as I say, obsessed with it, I get asked that question all the time. You're not a real fan. You don't understand the comic books. I'm sorry, you know, that you feel that way, but I may not know the entire backstory. I may not know certain things. I'm just not that type of nerd or that type of geek you're looking for that. I know specific things. I get specific things. I read specific things. Who cares?
I try. I'm not perfect at it, but I do try very hard to whip out my dick in those moments where I'm like, yeah, well, I do know what I'm talking about.
I do know when she first appeared. I do know what happens. I got, you know, it's bad.
What do you do if you have a shoddy memory? Like,
It happens.
fucking love Dark Souls, and I have played Dark Souls 1 over and over, and I fucking love that game, but if you ask me the names of the freaking characters, I'm like, the fat guy in the big suit, and, you know, lightning pants, and the lady
the
spider.
girl with the eyebrows.
The girl with the eyebrows. You mean Sandra Bullock.
I do mean Sandra
There we
Bullock.
go.
I have a specific question for both of you guys, because you're both female cosplayers, and I often think about this. Particularly, I was thinking about how *Handmaid's Tale* is a really popular story right now, and one of my friends was making a joke. He's like, "Oh, so we're going to see a lot of sexy handmaids this Halloween." We're going to see a lot of Wonder Woman this Halloween, and we're definitely going to get a lot of that, oh, you're just dressed up because of the movie. And
But
what do
also,
you feel?
what's wrong with that? What
There's
is
nothing
wrong
wrong
with
with
dressing
that.
up from a movie that you liked?
Who
You
cares?
You don't have to have read every comic and watched every
Or
episode of Linda
know-
Carter or the animated series Justice League from Cartoon Network,
Which
like,
I love. It's amazing.
Do you
You
think
don't-
that women will embrace each other and be like new Wonder Woman fans, whereas
Absolutely.
men have been like, you're just a fair weather fan?
I think you're going to
Yeah.
get more women, and I think we're probably going to see that at Kineticon. You will see that. I'm sure you will see that at Kineticon. Women seem to embrace women cosplayers more.
Yeah, a lot better. And that's something whenever I run into someone, kind of the way, you know, if someone pays you a compliment, my auto response is to compliment them back. Mostly because, like, I don't know how to just accept, like, oh, thanks. Like, I get so uncomfortable when somebody dotes on me in any way, where I'm just like, no, you're the you.
No, this is
you,
great. This is
but
awesome.
you. So I have always sort of, I feel like, been in that encompassing vibe of oh my god, how did you make this, and what about this part? And there's something I end up fixating on someone's costume where I'm like, tell me all about it, this is so
I
amazing.
can tell you I've done it to you. I know I've done it to you. When I first met you, it was like, oh my god.
Wait, what was I wearing when I first met you?
I'm not sure. Oh, you were wearing your Firefly outfit.
Who
Jane?
are you?
Yes, Jane.
Awesome.
Jane, you were Jane. And I remember David telling me, that's Victoria. And I'm like, no, it's not. And he's like, yes, it is. And I'm like, oh. I fangirled at Victoria. I'm sorry, I fangirled. And it was one of those things is I turned around and I was like, I love you so much. You're so awesome. This is great. and it turned into that. It was like, no, I think the both of us had, and I get where you're coming from with that because I've done it to people. Mm-hmm. I'm like, so, yeah. But I get it. I understand it. But I think more women are going to embrace each other more so than ever.
Yeah, I definitely feel that it's hard to be a female cosplayer. I don't really do it that much because I so many of my friends tell me about the stories and how it goes down that I'm like, I can't remember her name. It's like Bella Cherie or something like that. There's a really famous female cosplayer who she does an Ivy cosplay that I really love, and she's got big tits, for a lack of a better phrase, and she plays big-titted cosplayers, and so often big-titted characters. People say like, "Oh, well, you're just doing this because of that. You just want to be looked at.
You're just trying. You want to put your boobs up there.
Yeah,
you're over-sexualizing the cosplayer."
Yeah.
First of all, she's just doing the character as it's drawn, and second of all, is it okay to be a sexy cosplayer if that's what you want to be doing?
If that's what you want to do, no, I'm not questioning that. There are a lot of cosplayers out there. I'm sure you can attest to this too. There's a lot of cosplayers out there that may take it a little too far. That turn in Princess Leia into the Frozen characters into Princess Leia, or Slave Leia's, or.
But see, those are mashups. That's different,
and that's fine. I don't have an issue with that. But again, sometimes certain things can get too much. A little bit.
We maybe don't need sexy Ewoks.
No, we don't need sexy Ewoks. Do we need sexy Darth Vaders all the time? Stormtroopers.
I guess it's a preference thing.
It is a preference thing. Again, if you have big boobs and your character has big boobs, who cares?
Yeah.
Who cares? If you're not falling out all over the place, I really don't care.
Yeah. Exactly.
I usually find something in everything, even if it is like a weird gender mashup. Like I did Jane. I did a male character
amazing.
From Firefly, and the way I did it, I tried to find all the aspects of Jane, but make them feminine. Like and you did.
You had shorts on. You had the cutoff sleeves with the shirt and the hat. The hat is the biggest thing.
Which I bought that morning at con because I had commissioned one that didn't come in on time, so I was just like, oh.
And then I remember when you did Princess Jasmine.
Oh yeah, I did a Relay for Life thing,
which was amazing with that. You know what I mean? So I mean, it's all personal preference. It's all personal preference.
Yeah.
Just if your crap's not falling out. It's fine.
Well, Aladdin is my favorite Disney princess movie, and I am working on a like femme Aladdin, but
nice.
The way my brain went was I'll do the female character of this movie I love. So I'll do Jasmine, even though the character I love so much in that is Aladdin. And it also worked out that my friend Bill, who is every prince in the book, he hadn't done Aladdin yet, and he wanted to, so he's like, "Oh, I need a Jasmine." I was like, "Oh, you're Jasmine."
I wonder if we'll see any male gender bent Wonder Women.
I am game for that. I am so game for that.
Oh my God, no,
I'm excited to see that. You should.
I want to find a man who will do this, and I will make it.
I know it will happen.
We know 3.
Oh,
at least 3 men
outside that door.
At least 3 outside that door.
Other room right now.
Room.
Oh my God! What if we just did?
As we handle
made
their baby.
them all. Can we do this? Can we make them all Amazons?
I'm fine with that.
Oh my God! Wait for pictures, folks. We're gonna make this
happen.
As long as we don't have to make them shave, I think they'll. Agree.
No, I don't want them.
David, you won't have to worry about with that.
We'll have to braid.
Oh,
Alex's hair.
Alex's hair would be braided.
That would, we can get some good braids.
JR,
in that.
I have a blonde wig. We could put it on JR.
We can make him General
Antelope.
Antiope.
Antiope.
I called her Antelope again. Whoops. We're so going to get in trouble for that.
Jeez.
You guys called her Antelope.
We're obviously
We're
not
not
real
real.
fans.
We are obviously.
No, I don't think I mean, literally the name of this podcast is Opinions May Vary.
Yep.
So
there we go.
I imagine that the people
And the
who listen
women
to
took
this,
over this podcast.
Yeah.
Yes. We took it over.
We did a very good job.
I think we did.
So we are just approaching about an hour. If there's anything else you guys want to talk about before we close up, I know that Alex wanted us to talk about ourselves a little.
Hey.
Sorry, that's my timer saying timer's done. Yeah, I'm looking at you. Okay, so.
So we need 5 more minutes of no swearing, right? At
5
least?
more minutes of
At
no
least.
swearing.
You
Okay.
go, yeah, sure.
Damn.
Yes.
5 more minutes.
5 more minutes.
Double hockey sticks.
No more swearing.
Or if I just swear and then we just have to keep going for 5 more minutes.
Oh my god,
Or we
it's
just
like
don't.
tennis.
I know.
You
Back
just
and
have to
forth.
keep till it's at least you have to win by 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, is there anything that anybody wants to promote?
I play for Western Mass Roller Derby.
Yeah.
Power.
Our team will be playing a rematch of the Hartford Whalers on August 26th. We'll have Opinions May Vary there. We'll have the artwork of Brett Kelly.
Yeah, he did my tattoo.
Woo woo. So if anybody wants to join us, first whistle's at 9 o'clock at night. Yes, it's late, but it's a Saturday.
That's
we'll
not
have
that late on
worth it.
Saturday.
we'll have Iron Duke there. We'll pouring some drinks.
And I have a feeling we could easily get this on someone's Facebook page. Opinions may vary. And it's great having this power because you know what? I can say whatever I want. And then they're going to have to
They're
do
They're gonna
it.
have to
Commit
put it
to
out
it.
there.
Oh my God.
Oh my god!
The power. So yeah, we're gonna plug that on the Opinions May Vary page. Check it out.
Cool.
KT.
Not entirely working on anything right now. As you've heard from the past, you can still go watch Girl in the Basement, which features Alex's work. He does the special effects on that, and then I wrote it, and I'm in it.
It's an amazing movie.
Oh,
I got
thank
to see
you.
it.
Thank you.
I loved it.
You can get it on Vimeo. You can also get it on VHX, which is a website. Figure that stuff out. You can find me on www.zombie-hunter.com. That's my personal website. I swear I'm going to update it really soon, and it has been updated in the last 10 years. I'm an actress in New England. If you're looking to hire an actress in New England, and you're a union, because I'm in the union, you can find me there, and I would love to work for you, because I'm an actress, and I'm always looking for work. Yeah, and that's about it. Yeah.
And then I'm
What do you got? What you got? What you got coming up?
mostly going to cons.
Nice.
I'm working on a couple new cosplays. Definitely going to New York. I got some tickets for that.
Woo-hoo.
Already set up with a place to stay, which is awesome. It's the most expensive part.
I am jealous
Yeah.
that you're going to New York Comic Con.
Oh my God. Well, we have family in the area who's
Can I hide
willing
in
to
your
let them
bag?
to stay. I will.
I could
If
hide
you
in your bag.
think you can fit.
Oh, I will make myself fit.
We'll get you a rolly duffel bag.
Yeah,
one
Rolling
of
duffel
those,
bag.
like,
Just give me a
golf
hole
body
to breathe
snacks.
out of. Just give me a hole to breathe out of and
straw.
some water. That's all I care.
little-
Water and a hole.
Are you
That
going
just sounded wrong.
Yup.
Yep. Phrasing. Are you going to Boston Comic Con?
I don't know yet. That is something I'm still, waiting to see in the works. I've been doing a lot of home improvements, and that's expensive, unfortunately.
And so is cosplay.
Yeah, I actually just got into leather crafting.
Nice.
Yeah, it's awesome and fun and like relaxing because it's just sort of this motion over and over and over again. So it's really nice if you just need something to sort of tune things out with.
I'm sorry, I hit the mic. It's a cool idea
So
with leather
abusive.
stuff is I recently took apart an electric toothbrush, and you could put a guitar string inside there, and it acts like a cheap tattoo gun, but you can tattoo pieces of leather like that.
Huh.
I'm not very good at sewing leather, so I have all these tattooed pieces of leather that I'm like, yay, and I can't do anything with them.
Well, I haven't gotten into lacing yet, but I can totally help you out when that gets there.
Nice.
It is expensive though. The tools are, and the best thing to do is like join because they like the different companies have like programs which you have to pay for yearly. But it's great because that gives you a severe discount if you're planning on doing this a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm working on a few different leather pieces. Lady Sif
Nice.
Really excited about. I've got this giant like fur roll on my shoulders, and I can't wait.
Don't worry, to Connecticut, it's going to be too hot.
I wore Parka Cora to Connecticut.
I'll
be fine.
That's
You're not
crazy.
my dad.
That's crazy.
I mean, and the rest of the costume is kind of Wonder Woman-esque, where it's more of just a bodysuit. So it's a
So
little...
you're airing yourself out, so you're good.
Yeah, I'll be fine. It's just the cape made of velvet
And fur.
because I totally bought velvet, and fur and leather because I'm making a leather bodice. That's
Nice.
going to be exciting.
Yeah.
And then I have a big cosplay for New York Comic-Con coming up that I am hoping to enter into the cosplay contest.
Yay.
We'll see how that goes.
Are you guys on Facebook as like pages that we could go to for your cosplay art, or?
Yes, I am Victoria Miller Cosplay on Facebook, and then all of the different links for all of the other social medias are on there as well.
Cool.
I do not have a cosplay page, but I do photography. So I am Photography by Nichele on Facebook. And then I have other links, as Victoria does, on my Facebook.
Cool. You can find me on the Facebook under my name, Katie Baldessaro.
All right, now that we're done with all of our plugs, we're not even kidding when we say we were told to take at least 5 minutes to talk about ourselves. So that's what.
And we put it at the end so you could just skip right over it.
Yes, you could.
And we didn't curse. Like everything that they told
we
us
got
we
our
had
5
to.
We didn't do it.
Do.
10 minutes. 10 minutes worth of non-cursing.
I'd have to say that we did well.
We did.
Thank you guys for joining us here with our lady episode of Opinions May Vary. I am Victoria.
I'm Katie.
I'm Nichele.
And have a great night.